Now, Coles and Woolworths are facing legal action over their fuel shopper dockets. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission is taking them to the federal court for alleged breaches of promises made about high fuel discounts.
So with us now is our Consumer Affairs reporter, Amy Bainbridge. Amy, this is an interesting tussle, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Now, the ACCC is saying that they reached some kind of understanding and agreement with the major supermarkets about the level of discount that they would offer and how they did it. The supermarkets are saying, we're not in breach of that. So this is a he says, he and she says situation.
And it's all going to be clarified in the federal court. The first hearing, or the first directions hearing, is in April. So we'll see how it all transpires. But just to take us back a little bit, it was the middle of last year when the ACCC chairman, Rod Sims, first fired a warning shot. Now, the ACCC was conducting an investigation into shopper dockets, which is separate from the ACCC's investigation into the conduct of supermarkets. So yes, there's two separate investigations going on. He, at the time, this was in, I think it was June last year, and gave a speech to the Institute of Company Directors lunch, and he said, we can't rule out court action if the situation isn't fixed. This is the way often the ACCC will work. They'll put it out there and see what the response is. In December, we had an enforceable undertaking, so a court enforceable undertaking. There was much fanfare that Coles and Woolies had agreed not to heavily discount their fuel. The limit was 4 cents. But that was to come into effect from the 1st of January. And what we've seen since then is Woolworths offering discounts of up to 8 cents a litre and Coles offering discounts, a bundled discount as we call it, of up to 14 cents a litre.
So, like in Woolies' case, OK, they're still arguing they're keeping the 4 cent cap, but they're offering another 4 cents if you buy over a certain amount of products at convenience stores attached to petrol stations.
Yes, and if you look at the federal court documents that were filed yesterday, you can see the Woolworths advertisement. It has 4 cents plus 4 cents, and in the fine print, if you spend X amount of money at our convenience stores attached to the petrol stations.
It's either the supermarkets being cute, that's one way of looking at it, or they're just simply taking advantage of what they see as a loophole in that enforceable undertaking.
And apparently earlier this year they did seek clarification of exactly what that 4 cents a litre discount did mean, as you imagine they would, because nobody wants to end up in court. It's not pretty for anybody, it's expensive and it's very bad publicity. However, it appears that whatever needs to be clarified is the definition of exactly what the discounting is. And we've got a couple of statements from both their major supermarkets, and Woolworths is saying it's disappointed from being curtailed from offering greater petrol discounts to customers, and they've discussed it, as we said, with the ACCC, making our discounts independent of each other, and this change is underway, and we believe our undertaking with the ACCC allows customers to combine offers of 4 cents from the supermarket and 4 cents from the petrol store.
Well, that's the key point, that we believe our undertaking allows us to combine.
That's right.
So 4 cents for your voucher if it's just to do with your Woolworths shopping, and then the rest from those other places or the associated entity next to the petrol place. Now that's
being the operative word.
Yeah, and no, but the word believe, it means based on very expensive legal advice that we've received. They're not just going out off half-cocked on this.
No, they're not. And you've got to remember, I guess, why the ACCC put this in place in the first instance was because they were concerned about long-term competition issues.
Yes.
But also the inflation of petrol prices, and of course the independent service stations have been very unhappy about this.
So tell us what Coles has said in
Coles
relation.
is saying, and they've had less to say about this yesterday, but they're going to vigorously defend their ability to offer their customers great value on both groceries and fuel, and they welcome the opportunity to clarify conflicting interpretations of the voluntary undertaking on fuel dockets.
Because there's something that would be good for you to clarify this morning for many watching. There's competition and there's competition, and you alluded to it a moment ago. There's the competition between these two big retailers, which is great if you're after cheap petrol. But what the ACCC is looking at is competition much more generally over petrol pricing and availability.
And the concern has been that Coles and Woolies are so strong in their grocery sector, their food and groceries that they sell, and what they're doing is they're taking a bit of a hit on their petrol pricing. They don't mind if they don't have such profits in their petrol side of things because they're cross-subsidising. That is the concern of the ACCC, cross-subsidising it from the other area of their business, which of course is something that an independent fuel retailer is unable to do because they don't have that arm of the business as well.
And they're still very, very angry, the independent service operators, now that these loopholes, interpretations, belief of what the undertaking involves has now come to light.
And they were happy when that undertaking was agreed to in December last year. They felt that it did level the playing field. I think there was a recognition that there did need to be some sort of discounting, and it keeps the marketplace very competitive. But much frustration since then, and it will be played out in the federal court.
Amy, always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.